Throughout our lives, both inside our small academic world and in a larger outside world, there have been people who made assumptions about us, judgments about us, and people who have tried to define who we are. We cannot let the fear of people's judgments and assumptions define who we are, and we cannot let this world define who we are. I know this feeling all too well, the feeling of letting someone or something define who I was. Most of you know me as quiet and reserved, perhaps even shy. Maybe you wondered why I don't talk much, or maybe you found me to be odd and treated me as such. For a long time, I allowed my fear of what other people thought about me to silence my voice even more, but no longer. I might have not been speaking up or out, but my mind was never silent. I constantly thought about who I was and who I wanted to be until I eventually realized that how others treated or saw me can never define me. I can only define who I am for myself. Then came this year, our senior year, a defining moment for all of us. After 13 years of long hard work, life threw a giant obstacle away. A global pandemic took away our prom, our senior year experience, and generally made high school more difficult than it already was. I know a lot of you had goals and aspirations you dreamed of when you thought about your future beyond high school. Also know a lot of you were deterred one way or another from fulfilling those dreams. I want to tell you to never fall that failure. So those who answer "I don't know" when asked about their future plans, I will argue that that phrase is a lot more powerful than you think. More than ever, we should all realize how life is prone to abrupt changes that none of us can truly prepare for. Living life is full of not knowing and adapting to whatever is thrown at us. It might not feel like it, but you handled the changes that occurred during your senior year a lot better than you think. I mean, you're here. You are here in this moment, in that chair, in your cap and gown that belongs to you, celebrating your years of hard work, earning your high school diploma. This pandemic cannot define us or our success. We can only define it for ourselves. Through lockdowns and isolation, through sickness and through civil unrest, you still found a way to make it here today. And the fact of the matter is, obstacles are something we are not strangers to as Black and brown kids. Everyone was dealing with a global pandemic, but on top of that, communities of color had to deal with the broadcasted brutality and injustice against their people. We might have been socially distancing, but we as a people, we have never been distanced from the hurtful words about our racial identities. The world has tried to convince us that if we aren't a certain shade, if our hair doesn't look a certain way, or if we don't speak a certain language the way they want us to speak it, then we are lesser than. I wish I could change it, but the fact of the matter is, from now on, the world is going to try to use one or two words to describe your entire existence to ease its own conscience. The world will try to define you in terms that are palatable to others. You cannot let them define you. We cannot let them define us. Nobody knows what will happen next, or tomorrow, or years from now. Your journeys of self-discovery, of who you want to be and what you want to do, will never end because you'll always be going through changes. Don't worry about what could have or should have been, because it still can and will be, as long as you keep adapting and discovering, and as long as you define you for yourself. To the class of 2021, congratulations. Wait to see where you go. Next up, we will hear from our great salutatorian, Tanaya Mason, who will introduce our keynote speaker.
I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Ayla Stanford as our keynote speaker. She's the founder of the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium, guiding many Black communities to better health. As the former director of the Center for Minority Health and Health Disparities at Temple University, a physician for over 20 years, and founder of the consortium, she fights against the racial disparities within the medical system. She is one of 2 African American women in North America to complete her pediatric surgery fellowship. And she is the first African American woman to complete her general surgery training at the University of Pittsburgh. When I consider my future career as a fertility specialist, Dr. Stanford's accomplishments are an inspiration. I will be heading to New York soon for college to study biology, and she is a clear role model for me and many other Black youth. Dr. Stanford founded the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium due to lack of testing availability, contact tracing, and vaccinations within Black communities. The organization addresses the inequities in the medical system, and specifically the disproportionate impact this pandemic has had on African American and Latinx communities. The work done so far has been outstanding. During the height of the first wave, BDCC provided COVID-tested clinics in hard-hit communities of color right here in West Philadelphia and many other Philadelphia areas. Dr. Stanford and her staff have vaccinated over 49,000 Philadelphians, and 75% of those vaccinated were African Americans. Her response to the COVID-19 crisis and the work of BDCC has been recognized as a model for how this country can reduce healthcare disparities. In addition to being amazed by the impact that Dr. Stanford has had on our city and our communities of color, I have a personal connection to her work. My family and I were skeptical about the vaccination because of America's repeated history of mistreatment towards the Black community. My mother was researching the vaccine and found out about BDCC, and I was able to receive my vaccinations at one of her clinics. My experience was great and well-deserving of trust. I went to the location and everything was done with care. The doctors there explained everything and answered all of the questions my family and I had. To know it's understandable as to why many people in the Black and Latinx community are skeptical about the vaccine, given America's medical history. Therefore, we are grateful that Dr. Stanford can answer any questions you all may have. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Stanford. Can we have a round of applause?